We manage hundreds of thousands of dollars per month profitably on paid advertising across Google, LinkedIn, and Meta. I've had the privilege now of working with some of the biggest personal brands, coaches, consultants, influencers in the world, billion-dollar fund managers, SaaS companies that have raised over hundreds of millions of dollars, and some of the biggest industry leaders and category kings in their space. And we've continued to write and craft and create winning campaigns over and over and over again in 25 different industries. In today's video, I want to talk to you about how we took one of our growth partner clients from a 2.4x ROAS to all the way to a 10x return on advertising spend just in the last month. That 2.4x return on advertising spend came from over about $500,000 of advertising spend, which produced just about $1.7 million in contracted revenue and about $1.4 million in cash collected. I'm going to flash over to my screen and show you the numbers from this account. So as you can see, we took over this account in January. This is our performance dashboard that calculates all of the conversion metrics from click to close across every single campaign, across every single ad set, across every single campaign since the month that we've taken over. It's been approximately 1 year since we've been working with this client. When we met them, they had been completely screwed over by their last agency, had burned hundreds of thousands of dollars. We were left with a small $10,000 per month advertising budget, which is the absolute bare minimum of any client that we would choose to work with. And in that first month, we spent about $9,600. We generated approximately $45,000 in cash. February, we spent $16,000, generated $60,000. March, we generated $63,000. May, we crossed $100,000 a month in cash collected. In June, we took a big leap all the way up to $194,000 in cash collected. And then you can see here, we've basically tracked right at $150,000 in cash collected. We have not grown over the last 6 months. And then you can see here on this graph, if you zoom in here, we had a big inflection point. Okay, for the month of December, we are averaging right now at about a 10.7x return on advertising spend. Since inception, like I mentioned, we're at about a 2.3, 2.4x return on paid advertising spend. So if you ask yourself, what was the difference? How do we go from 2.4x to 10x over the course of this month? What changed here in December? Well, I'll tell you the biggest change and the biggest transformation to happen to me is I read Alex Hormozi's book, Money Models. And my main takeaway from that book is that now before we partner with any business, we think to ourselves, what is the second and third and fourth order purchases that occur after that initial transaction? You see, my entire career, I have focused and obsessed over being a performance marketer. And for that to happen, I had to think to myself, how could I profitably acquire customers over the first 30 days? And I had scaled 3 offers past 6 figures a month, solely focused on this first acquisition. However, that first purchase will become the most difficult transaction with that customer and also the least profitable. You see, most of our clients are spending several $1,000s per day. Our largest client is spending $35,000 per day, and our average client is spending between $10,000 and $15,000 per day. And with the majority of those clients, we are achieving between a 2x and 3x return on paid advertising spend. What that means is that yes, we are profitably acquiring customers, but usually at somewhere between a 10 and 30% net margin. If we achieve a 2.5x return on paid advertising spend, that means approximately 40% of all top line revenue is immediately going directly to ad spend. Then you have to tack on an additional 20% that is typically going to the sales team. We have 10% of top line typically going to closers, 5% typically going to setters, and then bonuses and management fees, which brings our total commissions that we're paying in terms of top line revenue to what is usually closer to about 20% of top line revenue. Now, assuming there is zero incremental cost to a unit being sold, and this is for an information business, and there is zero cost of goods sold, that leaves us with somewhere in the neighborhood, somewhere in the ballpark of a 10 to 20% net margin on that first sale. And this is where most businesses stop. I've prided myself that throughout my career, I've always made sure that we poll customers, that we track their NPS scores, their CSAT scores to make sure that we're selling products that are genuinely helping people and that are making people happy. I see too many marketers that are fantastic at paid advertising, fantastic at acquiring customers that overpromise and underdeliver. And unfortunately, some of these business owners can still become incredibly wealthy even though they lack the skill of delivery. However, on the second purchase, there is typically a reduced commission being paid to the sales team. There's no cost of acquisition, and those sales are much, much easier to produce, which means that every subsequent purchase that occurs in the business from those existing customers is disproportionately more profitable to the last. And the bulk majority of that revenue is dropping to bottom line profit, which is the only metric that matters in these information marketing businesses. However, if you are selling information, here's the problem. And Alex Hormozi has talked about this extensively. The information becomes worthless the moment the prospect purchases it. After somebody goes through your course, community, goes through all of your resources, they're no longer valuable anymore. They're no longer going to keep paying for the same lessons of these recorded lectures. Your back-end purchase has to be something that is a consumable and not something that only provides one-time value to the customer. So what are those things in the context of an information business? Those things are community, consumables, physical products, access, services, affiliate relationships. All of these things have potential for strong revenue retention and the ability for customers to pay for sometimes years and years on end. Typically, information, the course, the access, the license, the system is the most common thing to sell on the front end. Advertising costs have risen, the costs are extremely high, and when you're selling something like a $5, $10, or even $15,000 course coaching program, there's typically a very high gross margin associated with that, and that helps you pay back and liquidate some of your advertising costs day one. If you've been somebody that has been able to acquire those customers at a profit in the first 30 days as a bootstrap business owner, then congrats, because 99% of businesses are purely relying on referrals, word of mouth, and they have no predictable growth engine to scale their company. But if you just stop there and don't think about your second and third order purchases after that, your profit line is going to suffer immensely. And we had acquired over 500 high-ticket customers that were incredibly happy, and as indicated by their CSAT and their NPS scores, they were primed to make another purchase. So what offer did we choose to make them? Now, after speaking with some of the biggest industry leaders in our space, I'm fortunate enough to have an extensive network and have close personal friendships with, or have worked with some of the biggest internet marketers in the world. What we chose to implement was having a back end, a second purchase, which was access to 4 quarterly live events per year. We started off pricing our first live event that occurred in December 5th at $3,000, and we sent out an email blast to our existing list, and we received very little to no conversions. And the reason was because this offer specifically lacked a lot of tangibility. It was very difficult for the prospect to approximate or see the value in that subsequent purchase because there had never been a live event. There was no footage. There was no content documenting or sharing to the customer what this event would look like. They were forced to make a leap into the unknown, which is a very difficult place to be in if you're a consumer that is skeptical, that is cognizant of how they spend their capital. So instead, what we did is we chose to offer a free ticket with a refundable deposit of $197 that they would then credit towards any purchase that they wanted to make at the event. We sold approximately 50 people into that at $200, which brought our ticket sales to about $10,000. The cost to rent out this venue was approximately $15,000 to $20,000, which means we went into this venue. We rented out a 4-star hotel in Los Angeles on the west side of LA. We had about 50 people there. We flew out our entire staff. So all in, we went into that event $5,000 to $10,000 into the hole. But what happened after that was pretty remarkable. We had all of the customers stay both days, sat in their chair for over 12 hours, and we received the highest satisfaction that we ever had of any product that I've ever sold over the course of my career. Every single person rated on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to refer this to a friend? How satisfied are you with your purchase of coming to this event? Every single person that attended rated that event as a 10 out of 10. And as a result, we were able to convert 40% of the room on a $9,800 offer that included access to more of these quarterly live in-person events, as well as access to have an annual lunch with the main spokesperson, the main influencer that we were partnering with. And the beautiful thing about this model is that unlike the course and the community, which people quickly consumed over a period of 4, 6, or 7 weeks, the friendships that they are forming inside of this community are the same things that are hopefully going to keep these customers staying and paying on this annual recurring membership for years and years on end. Now, an in-person event is not going to be appealing to every single person on your list. Typically, the more offers you make are going to capture different buyers and different personas that appeal to different people. Some people were not able to attend this live in-person workshop, and it was not practical for them to fly across the country and attend this live event. So the following week after that, and we had so much success in this live in-person pitch, we chose to host a remote virtual event with the same sales pitch, with the same message towards all the people that weren't able to attend in person, and we closed an additional $20,000. This change allowed us to go from a 2.4x return on advertising spend over about $500,000 in spend over the trailing 11 months to a 10x return on advertising spend in the month of December, which is historically one of the most difficult times to advertise. Now, for the following year here in 2026, we've already earmarked this weekend in early December as the date in which we are going to host the subsequent and the next live in-person event for that specific quarter. The reason being is that we want to pull cash flow forward during those months historically following Q4 when all of the e-commerce companies overspend and drive up our lead costs and make conversions very, very difficult at that time. These lump sum collections of cash we're going to have in our back pocket to save during a time that is typically a very challenging time for most online businesses that are driving the bulk amount of their revenue through online advertising. Now, if you're watching this right now and you're thinking to yourself, do I need to implement a back end into my business? What I'll tell our clients is to ask them what is the ratio between their cost to acquire a customer and the lifetime value of that customer. If you have a business that is operating between a 2 to 3x return on advertising spend or a 2 to 3x CAC to LTV, you do not have a business, you have an arbitrage. You're effectively a trader. You have a front-end acquisition engine to the business. That is not a business. If you have a CAC to LTV ratio of more than 10, you are now a true enterprise in my mind. You have a very stable business that is a long-term moat that will survive regardless of any platform changes that would happen. Even if your cost to acquire a customer, let's say, is $1,500 and something crazy like Andromeda happens, like we saw in 2027 where a lot of big advertisers got wiped out, it's unlikely that even if your costs were to double, we saw the cost to acquire a customer rose by 30, 50, 60% following that platform update. The economics in your business are so foundationally good when you're at a 10 to 1 that you can survive any platform changes that were to occur. So if I had to summarize everything that we just said, think about how you're currently acquiring customers and what would be a second and third and fourth order purchase that you could group into your existing customer base, run them through a preliminary experiment, a conversion event, potentially invite them to a live event, a virtual event, bring on an affiliate to sell a non-competing service to your existing customer base, study the conversion rate, and then see how the average order value, the average lifetime value of your customer changes as a result of adding this new product line. And then ask yourself, where do I now sit in this CAC to LTV spectrum? And do I need to focus on improving the model or do I need to focus on improving the marketing? Because what I will tell you is that having a superior model, when I've run paid ads for fund managers, insurance companies, these businesses are so fundamentally sound. I've seen advertisers that were horrendous at their job become exorbitantly profitable because of the model. The most successful companies in the world scale off of LTV. They are not arbitraging the media. They are not becoming so myopic and so focused on that first transaction. If your business has a 2 to 3x return on paid advertising spend, you have an arbitrage. You do not have a business. You have a promotion, not a true business. And I've seen so many businesses that are doing 1 million a month, 2 million a month, 3 million a month go away overnight because they raised their fixed cost base to expand to the moon. They assume that the cost to acquire a customer will remain consistent for the rest of their life, and they're wiped out overnight by one simple platform change. So if you found this video helpful, my name is Sam Sauter. If you're a business owner doing more than $100,000 per month in revenue and you would like to bring on a strategic growth partner to help you scale to the next level, then I encourage you to visit paidscaling.com, fill out your contact details, and request a time to speak with somebody on my team. If you're doing less than $100,000 per month, we have consulting and we have done with you options where I can help you take you through some of my programs, my materials. You can work with me personally to help get your business from $0 to $100,000 per month. Now, if you like, comment, and share this video with a friend, and you send me a screenshot proving that you did this, you'll be entered into a giveaway where one person is going to receive free yearly access to my one-on-one consulting program. So if that's you and you're interested in doing that, like, comment, and share this video below. And if there's anything else that you would like to be included that you feel was omitted that should have been included in this video, go ahead and let me know in the comments what you think, what was missing, what changes you're going to be making to your business moving forward. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you found this valuable, and I'll see you in the next video.